just had the pickups redone on that. Jimmy Coppola from the Leave It Coppola basses.
We
He's
were
my
going to
boy.
bring him up too. We can talk about him as well.
Yeah, we go back a long time. It's a funny story. I met him in New York City. I was buying it I got done with the Debbie Gibson tour, and I wanted to buy another 5-string bass. So I go into 48th Street in New York, and I wound up buying this Tobias bass. Nice sort of exotic wood. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, I become friends with Jimmy because he was the salesman, and we're chit chatting. He goes, "Man, after a couple of weeks, he goes, yeah, man, I'm moving to Dallas." I'm like, "You're moving to Dallas? Why are you going there? Of all places?" "Well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that." I'm like, "Cool, man." It's like, "Man, I'm really going to miss you." So anyway, I played Dallas with Debbie at one of the outdoor events down there, and we played the gig in the middle of the summer. And I swear to God, it had to have been 110 degrees on stage, maybe 115 degrees on stage. I was young, thank God.
Yeah.
So I made it. But anyway, so about 5 years later, my fiance at the time, she was working for Atlantic Records, and she got a transfer to Dallas. I'm thinking, damn, am I going to stay here in New York? And it's like, we're engaged. It's like, I might as well move with her. And I'm going to break up, and I can't tell her not to take the job. So I said, man, I'm going to move to Dallas. Okay. So I moved to Dallas. I'm looking around for jobs and gigs, starting all over in a brand new town. It wasn't easy. And here I am from the north. My hair was really long, like a Indian's hair, like 3/4 of the way down my back, just in a big long ponytail about like 3 feet long.
Yeah.
With a New York accent, right?
Yeah.
In Dallas, Texas. Good old boys. Back then they were still driving around with guns in the back of the pickup truck. And
yeah.
Hey, I'm cool with that now, man.
Yeah. You don't see it anymore.
No, I don't see it anymore. I wish I did.
We'll leave that for another channel.
I feel safer. Yeah.
Yeah, I do as well. In Indiana,
So I'm, I said, I'm gonna get in the car, and I started driving around to music stores. And I pull into this one music store, I take off, there's nothing there. And then I go into this other store, and it's a lot of vintage stuff and a lot of really like new boutique basses and cabs and stuff. And I hear this voice in the back, and it was a New York accent. I go, I gotta find
it's home.
Who's this person with the New York accent? Maybe they know where there's a good pizza joint,
Sure, yeah.
I'd been here for 6 months at the time. So I'm walking in the back, and I look at this guy, and he looked so familiar, but his hair was longer, and I didn't recognize him. And he goes, "Kirk?" And I go, "Yeah." And I go, "Jimmy?" I go, "What are you doing here?" And he said to me, he goes, "What am I doing here? What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
So, I told him I moved here, and he goes, "Ah!" So anyway, he was doing guitar repairs in the back of this kind of a cool boutique place. And we wound up becoming really good, tight friends. And he started making guitars. I said, "Man, you got to make basses, man. You make really great guitars." Nile Rodgers from Chic, yeah, has one of his guitars. India Ari, another great guitar player. She had one of his guitars, and so I said, "You got to make basses." I was on him for about 3 years. Then all of a sudden, one day, we go to the NAMM show, and he goes, "Man, I have something for you." Well,
oh shit!
Actually, first he actually that's what He goes, "Man, I have something for you." And it wasn't a bass, but he goes, it was a brochure. And he said, "You want me to make this bass so much, and we talked about what you like. I made this exactly to your specs. I'm going to name it the KVT4." So that's the blue bass. I'll send you a picture of it. It was brand new when I got it, and now it's almost 20 years old, and it's been to Europe and all over the United States. It's looking pretty haggard.
So it's actually road worn then.
Yeah, but not fake road worn. It's
exactly. Yeah.
From being on the road and just playing it, and I carved the name of my dogs as they, that's how it became the Puda bass.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
anyway,
we're still friends, and we kind of barter. I do things for him, and he sends me basses. I'm like, man, I don't need any more basses. I have
Yeah.
a few of his 5 strings and a few of his 4 strings, and it's like the way he makes them from logs. The only thing I think he makes his own pickups.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
he makes everything. He makes his own bridges now. He has a metal shop right next door, but on own pick guards, he makes his own pickups. The only thing he doesn't make are his tuning keys and some the screws, obviously,
Yeah, yeah.
and the knobs that you actually turn. But all the woodwork, all the neck, everything is, you pick out a log and he'll shave it down, make it into whatever he does, and then he glues the neck and the fingerboard in, makes his own truss rods. It's like, Jimmy, man, if you can just like subcontract a few of these things out, you can get a whole lot done a whole lot quicker. But
Yeah.
he goes, nope, Leo Fender, I'm going to do it just the way Leo Fender did it. And so they really are basically like a vintage Fender bass guitar from the 1960s. As actually the guy who paints the guitars for him. That's one thing he does subcontract out. He does
Uh-huh.
some painting himself, but the nitrocellulose stuff is done by a friend of his, and that guy used to paint for Fender back in the day. So it's like a vintage freaking Fender,
Yeah.
you know. And they kind of they sing. I just say they sing. You can hold a note, and it's like the Spinal Tap thing, where hold the note for a
Yeah.
day. It's like it's fantastic. I have the one. Let's see if I can just grab it real quick. This one,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, and it's kind of worn. As you can, I don't know if you can see,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Somewhat, yeah. There it
I've been,
is.
yeah.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
turn the right side up.
Oh, you got
Uh,
Allie in there.
yeah, she passed away 2 years ago, so she got. The first one I did was with a knife. That was Puda. She was a Lhasa Apso, and Britt was over here, and then Allie. I got a little better at it, so I used the Dremel.
Yeah. Well,
You guys,
I
yeah.
was going to say Seymour Duncan pickups. Is
Oh,
that on all
absolutely.
your bases or just the ones, certain ones?
Um, let's see. All my 4 strings have Seymour Duncans. The 2 5 strings are Jimmy's Elite Coppola pickups. Um, I would I would probably try a Duncan, but they don't make it big enough because Jimmy makes his jazz bass pickups a little bit longer. But let's see. I have a Fender 5 string, which is Duncan quarter pounder 5 strings. My P basses have quarter pounder 5 strings, and my jazz basses have the Seymour Duncan Apollo jazz bass pickups. One of them has quarter. I have a whole bunch of basses. I've got 10 or 15, which is scaled down. I'm trying to like
Yeah,
do less and less. How many can you play? Maybe
yeah.
two or three. They're my favorites.
And
Hmm.
for anybody that listening, again, down in probably the description area, I'll give all of Kirk's information, which we'll get into that, where you can find him if you want things, because he does do sessions and things like that. All this information will be in the bottom, and I'll probably put it at the end in a credit type thing, so you can reach him. Any of his sites, probably, well, yeah, all the endorsement stuff for strings, and which if you're a musician, you probably know a lot of this, but I bet a lot of people probably don't know Jimmy, and I'm gonna make sure I get all that stuff in there as well. So,
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. I started working with Ashdown. Um, Again, I was using their gear back in 2004, 2005. Still used the amp, but then I went with a lot of lightweight stuff. I was using Gensler for a couple of years, which I absolutely love. But I'm trying to find a little bit more of an older school sound right now, like we were talking about before, because I really dig the more of like a modern Motown, if that makes any sense to you.
yeah, it makes
Still,
perfect sense to me.
kind of like a little more edge on the top, but dry and like thud, and like the center of the note is like right there with the kick.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm finding with the Ashdown. And obviously my favorite DI. It's really kind of weird. I met this guy at NAMM. He had it's this big thing. It's called a Reddy, the Red DI.
yeah,
It's size of like a 13 shoe, and the transformers in there. And so I've been using that for many years. Peter Montesi, sweetheart of a guy. He does like all pro audio stuff, but we became friends, and smoking guy, really good. As far as that, I'm just trying to think. Line 6, a lot of gigs now are in-ear monitors. So I use the Helix is for effects and also amplifier simulators. Um, it's real hard to tell the difference between that and a mic SVT. Like, holy smokes!
Really?
You could feel it when you're on stage.
Sure.
Obviously, if you have 8 10s or 16 10s behind you. Well, playing with Deb, I was really, really, really blessed. It was an amazing time. Um, it's really kind of funny because back then, I was sort of, I guess I still am sort of an equipment whore.
Yeah. Yep.
But I love gear, and I always love talking about gear and trying different gear, and always like sort of looking for the perfect tone. And I remember trying to get an endorsement. It was my first time. It's like, man, how do you guys do this? And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, how do you do it anyway? So I met the guy from Ampeg, Ken Hensley, who actually he was just a fantastic fellow. And I guess that was in Summer NAMM, which would have been in June or July of whatever year it was. So anyway, January comes around and we released the album, and Lost in Your Eyes goes #1.
The second album, Electric Youth, which would have been
that's right. You're right. Yes,
which would have been where Lost in Your Eyes was at, unless she was already on tour with the first one, and she started releasing things from the second one.
You're correct. Yes.
Okay.
So Lost in Your Eyes came out, and it became #1, and it was #1 for like 5 weeks, I think, possibly. Don't quote me on that.
Sure.
But it's probably about 2 weeks into it, and all of a sudden I get a phone call from Ken Hensley from Ampeg, and he goes, "Hey Kirk," he's from Britain. He goes, "Hey Kirk, hope everything's well. How you doing?" He goes, "Are you still interested in the Ampeg gear?" I do a shitty British accent.
Yeah, that's all right.
I was like, "Yes, yeah. Why?" He goes, "Well, I see the song's doing really well, and we just want you to, if you want to, try our gear, take it out on tour, it'd be real nice." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Ampeg?"
Yeah.
So he goes, "We're going to send you a catalog. Just pick out what you want, and the brown truck will be there to drop it off."
The brown truck.
I said, "You don't want me? Do you want me to sign anything? Do I have to?" I was like, "No." I was like, "Holy crap!" So about 2 weeks later, the brown truck, UPS showed up and dropped all the stuff off. And I was like, wow. So what am I going to do with all this stuff? I had 2 SVT tube heads.
81 pounds.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more, maybe 85 pounds. It was there, But back then, that wasn't heavy for us because we were used to heavy stuff. It was, bass amps are heavy, not like it is today. And then I had 2 4x10s and 2 of these other new cabs they wanted me to try. So anyway, we rehearsed with them, and we had them. The stage was built so gear was under the stage pointing up, or was like hid. The stage was like a castle. So all my gear was underneath the drum thing, hidden by like these scrims that look like castle arches.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, man, we were about a week into it, and I'm thinking, this stuff sounds great, but I don't need this much gear. We're doing arenas, 15, 18, 20,000 seat places. And I said, I only need 2 of these 410s. So, but you couldn't tell because they were all underneath the stage. So that's what I used. I used basically 2 4x10s. And now when I look back and I realize it, now I probably could have even gotten by with now we use in-ear monitors. So, you have a floor wedge just to give you a little bit of thump on the floor so you could hear it. And everything's, I don't use these. I have regular set of,
Your
ear
customs.
things to put in. Yeah. And so anyway, like I was saying before about the Line 6, I've tweaked it to the point to where, man, I can't tell the difference between a mic SVT and the way this thing sounds in my ears. You can feel the difference.
Sure.
But if you can get a little bit of thump like coming from the ground, it's like, man, it's a really great experience. And quite honestly, I don't think the audience could tell the difference anyway. For me, it's more like having that feeling of not hearing a totally clean direct signal in my ears and my bass. It's just too too nice.
Yeah.
I want to hear a little bit of hair, a
Yeah.
little bit of this, and not necessarily distortion, but that little bit of vibe. It's like it compresses a little bit, it does a little this, a little bit of that. So
Just a little over the center line,
a little bit,
but not too much. Yeah.
Yeah, not for what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But, like old school.
Yeah.
If you listen to some of the old records, and the bass it wasn't totally perfectly clean. There was like little clicks and things like that, and everything's you don't notice it, but it sounds great in the track. It's the human effect to it.
And that's what I believe. And you're a music lover as well. That's what made it perfect for the listener, people like us that love music. It's not perfection.
Yeah.
It's not drum machines. All this. I don't know what the hell I'm trying to say. Not synchronized. Maybe it's synchronized.
Quantized.
That's it. Yeah. It's not all of that shit. The players get to breathe a little bit, but everybody's still locked in. And I think people don't understand that nowadays, because a lot of things are done in Pro Tools and other interfaces. Like my kids, even though they don't care about that aspect of music, they wouldn't really understand from what they're accustomed to, and then going back 40 years or so, but they know something's different. Yeah, well,
I know.
I should have went farther, as far as back to the 60s, but they know, because I found my oldest daughter, because she's she used to be, when she was a little younger, Dad, she's breaking my back, and but then I'll be driving down there in that Jeep, just breaking my neck and rattling everything, and I'll look over and she's got that foot going, and I said, "You didn't do that shit to your music. You didn't do that. I caught you." And she get a big smile on her face. It's just a certain vibe that 60s, 70s rock, hard rock, CCR and those things that is not there anymore. It's lost that human feel.
Yeah, I mean, even bands like Boston, that stuff was played manually, but listen to those songs. The songs were great. The playing was great, and then even Christopher Cross, he was more ballady, but man, and then I loved Jeff Beck records and Steely Dan records and, everything else back then. And that was humans playing this stuff, which was really great. Then I went off on the tinge of King Crimson, and Yes, and ELP and all those sort of things. But I still always liked a good pop song. That's why I like playing with Deb, because she wrote great pop songs.
She did, and you did them justice. You're a good pop bass player.
Thank you. It's really funny because, a lot of my friends from New York, they were more into the hard rock music, and they busted my ass all the time because you're playing with Debbie Gibson. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, dude, anyway.
Yeah, I wanted you to tell that story about these people busting your balls, and then you find out.
They busted my ass. Not all of them, some of the, but that was the biggest gig on the planet at the time.
Sure.
It was either that or the Rolling Stones.
Sure.
I mean, they were out at the same time. But anyway, some of my friends were busting my ass whenever they could. I'll do like a club gig, and man, you're playing with Debbie Gibson. It's like, no, dude, this is fun. You have no idea. And they're great songs. So anyway, I was friends with the Gibsons, and I'd go up to the office every once in a while. They had a place on Long Island. And I remember walking in there one day, and there was like, these FedEx boxes or UPS, whatever, VHS tapes. And I remember looking at them, and I was like, holy shit, look at this. This is this drummer that I know that was busting my ass. He's sending in his audition tape to try to get a gig for the tour. I was like, look at this crap. It was like 3 or 4. I'm like, this is amazing.
That is great. I remember that story before.
Yeah.
Then musicians are musicians. That is so typical for a damn musician, to bust your balls and then try to steal your gig behind your back.
It was kind of funny. I never told. I'm not going to mention the names. I'm not going to. I know who they are, but one of these days I'm going to say, hey, remember when you busted my ass about that?
Yeah.
I saw your audition tape.
Yeah.
It was a good audition tape, but I
Yeah.
was just saying, it's like, come on, man, you know.
Yeah.
Mm,
But uh, seeing that we're on that topic,
mm.
you know, you had, as you say, the three tours, the one, a bit smaller, but somewhat big, and then the
It
hockey
was,
arenas.
yeah,
So from the hockey arenas, that would have been the first album and the first tour, which would have been the Out of the
yes,
Blue tour, and that was a national tour only, correct?
yes, national. Yeah, we did. I think we did it. We did a show in England. Uh, did we go to Canada? I'm trying to think. We might have gone to Canada for a show or two. I don't recall that, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it was basically the United States. But I know we went to England. We did a show at the Astoria Theater. Um, it was over Valentine's Day weekend. We just got done. As a matter of fact, Debbie was a guest host on MTV for the weekend, and we had to shoot it in advance because we were going to be gone for that Valentine's Day weekend over in the UK doing something. It was a one-off show for her. So I never got to see myself on MTV. I could probably find it somewhere online, I guess, on YouTube.
Yeah.
My hair was vertical then. I still have it though,
Yeah.
man. I still have most of it. I still have about 90% of it. So that's pretty good. Not bad at this age.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
good dye job every once in a while. Nice and easy, number 30. Keep the gray out. I just don't want to look like Elvis. If it gets too dark, it's like, man, I just got Elvis Presley hair, man.
We'll know the songs will be so damn fast you can just talk through it because you're so old or fat you can't sing,
Yeah.
But how common is that? A lot of people, no, not the Stones. I don't think those guys have 8 and 13 years. But
Yeah.
as people get older, they can't stay in that range that they recorded the music, and some of them don't want to budge. And I would rather hear a song in drop tuning than these people trying to squeak and hit these notes that they shouldn't be hitting.
You know who's nailing it still? It's funny because I was going on a YouTube search the other day. Gino Vanelli. I don't know if
I
you
don't
ever hear of him. He's a
know.
Canadian. Oh man, I used to listen to him back in the '70s, towards the tail end of the '70s, and it was sort of proggy, but it was also vocally. Gino Vanelli, man, I saw a couple of videos from him from just 2 years ago. He's got to be mid to late '60s. He nails it, and he's in shape. And it's like, holy crap, Gino freaking Vanelli, man, just a monster. Yeah, you ever get to check him out? He has some great songs.
Yeah, I just wrote it down the
Great
best way I
playing.
could.
The Brother to Brother record was fantastic. Great songs. Still pop, but also like jazz influence a little bit.
Oh, I
Some
do
cool
like that.
chords.
Maybe Steely Danish.
Some parts maybe, yeah, but very vocal, and some vocal gymnastics. And he's a
Mm.
showy guy. He liked to dance and everything, and do all sorts of crazy stuff. But man, he was he still is great to this day. So God bless him.
Yeah,
And he looks good. I was like, dude, man, he looked healthy.
yeah,
He's take care of himself. I don't know what he's doing, but he's doing the right thing.
yeah.
So yeah, good for him.
Okay, so we've we're ending up the Out of the Blue tour, and what was your thoughts as far as where do we go for here from here? Am I still in the band? Because you're starting to hang around people, I'm sure, and they're going, man, I don't have my gig no more, and this and that. What was your thoughts towards the end of that first tour as it's winding up,
I
if
guess we
any?
did. Yeah, I'm trying to think. It was so long ago. I think we must have did about 75 dates, and it went on for months. And you sort of, you're in sort of like your own little world, with the tour. I don't remember how many people are on that tour. The second tour, there's like 71 people that traveled with us all the time. But on that tour, we traveled on buses a lot, and it becomes a family. Everybody kind of knows everybody else's business, and but at the end of it, it's like post-tour depression.
Yeah, yeah,
It's because we came home and winter was there, and same thing happened the second tour, and you sit there and it's like, wow, I'm not playing tomorrow. I got to start looking for like some local work, and you really don't care just because, just as long as for at least I didn't care, just as long as I was working.
Yeah.
You know, what probably the worst thing to me, um, I'm sort of what would I say? I'm a monitor diva. I'm a diva when it comes to monitors.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound right. It's like I'm just a diva. It's one of my bad things.
Yeah.
I admit it. And I remember coming home from a gig and doing my first sort of club gig, like a small, 500 seat place. Small. That's not small, but and the sound of the monitors were not what I became so used to being on a gig, like an
Sure.
arena gig.
Yeah.
The stage on an arena gig sounds amazing, especially when you're the headliner. It sounds like you just have some really nice big speakers playing in your living room, and you're in the middle of it, except you have an audience watching you.
Mm-hmm.
It's sonically, it's great. The volume is just the way it is. Everything's just exactly where it is. Your water bottle's in the same spot. Like, ooh, snotty, snot, snot. But no, but my first gig after that, it was like, oh my God, you have these two little tiny, like 12-inch square monitors, like blowing back at you, taking the singer's head off. I'm like, God, that sounds like shit. So that was probably the worst thing. Because I actually, thank God, I fell back into working pretty quickly right after that, doing local stuff, and back to doing some local sessions in New York, and just waiting for the next tour to come along. So I try to keep busy.
Yeah. Now,
mm-hmm.
when did, I mean, not as far as dates go, but when did that second album, when did you start working on that with her, and how did that happen? Was you working on that kind of in the bus, as they say a lot of times,
No.
we were recording this and that for the second album? Or was there a bit of a break and then you was called to do bits and pieces, or all of the second album and then you went out, or how'd that work?
Well, she would send us tapes, when we're home, like a cassette, or we'd go over and pick up, tapes, and if you remember cassette tapes, and it'd be a demo. So we'd go over to her house and we'd just play like "Lost in Your Eyes" or whatever, and come up with ideas. We actually wound up. I think we didn't we. You could probably tell me, but you could probably tell me. We played "Lost in Your Eyes" on the first tour, right? Out of the Blue. I think we did that, right?
Should have been the one that was on the first tour.
Uh-huh.
And I think there was
Did we do "Lost in Your Eyes"? I don't remember.
I don't remember. I'm thinking so, but I don't know if anybody should quote me on that one.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember, the piano and all of that, which would have been, well, Foolish Beat, which she is in the Guinness Book of World Records for.
That's right.
I think for performing a number.
Producing.
Yep.
Yeah, she did the whole Ball of Wax, produced it,
and no one's beat her.
Played it, wrote it. Yeah, not yet to this day. It's going to be a hard one to beat, especially with everything that's going on these days.
Exactly.
With kids, and adults too.
Yeah.
I think for some reason, "Lost in Your Eyes" is on the first tour. You're going to have to correct me. I don't remember.
I'd have to look it up as well. And I've watched those home movies, not home movies, but before the phone cameras came along and all that good stuff. We had to wait until release dates for, it's like, are they going to put anything live out in this and that? Now they just shoot it with a phone, and I've watched those many times, but I can't remember.
For some reason, I believe we did play that on the first tour, because I remember Louis, for some reason, there's a thing, just the way he played the drums on that. It was like, man, I hope we do it in the studio like that. And it was different in the studio. We changed a few things. Fred Czar, the producer, changed a few things. I recorded my bass part for that at Secret Sound Studios in New York City. Really, we also shot out of the Blue video there.
You did?
I actually posted a couple pictures the other day from that video shoot on my Facebook page. So anyway, we did. I'm pretty sure we played that on the first tour. But I forgot what your original question was.
You know what? I did too.
But yeah.
Between or how did that album come about after the tour? The first tour was over with.
Oh yeah.
How did that manifest, and when did you get the call, or roughly within? It was a few months. It was a year later. It was 2 years later. Something like that.
Yeah. We already knew "Lost in Your Eyes," and then it wasn't like after the tour we don't talk to each other. It's like, hey, I'd go to the Gibson's house, and it's like, let's go bowling. So we'd go bowling and do whatever and hang out. And her mom and sister used to make this really good chicken thing that I just opened Photoshop. Damn it. This really great chicken dish that I now make to this day. But we wound up. Like I said, she'd give us tapes, and we would learn the material. We'd put our own parts to it, and I didn't play on every song on that record. And then we'd have a studio date, and I'd go in and I'd cut my bass parts. Louis would go in there, cut his drum parts. Usually he would do his part first, and I would go and do my part. Adam would play his sax. Tommy would go and do his tracks. So it's all the way it was happening then. Not so many people played it live. It was sort of that era where everybody would come in and play their parts and overdub, and they'd put it together and mix it. It wasn't so much like sitting in the studio and everybody playing at the same time. So that's how that came about. That was probably October, I'm guessing, of '88, because I think Electric Youth came out in '89.
You're probably right, because I think that's when that tour started off, was in '89.
Yeah. So we must have finished everything probably by November. And then, they mix it, and then they start talking about doing their promo, what they're going to do. And it's pretty much in the can. But she was probably working on things. She just works on things all the time. She never stops.
Yeah.
She is probably one of the most humble and just a smart. She has perfect pitch. Remind me to tell you a story about something that we pulled off one time on stage, and I've never seen her mad before, but maybe she was a little bit mad.
Yes, we're going to do it. Go for it. That was on the first tour, right?
No, it was on the second tour.
Good. We're already at the second tour.
We're like, we probably had done about 60 shows already, and there's a song. Was it "Dum Dum Dum Dum"? "Shake Your Love"? Was that the one where we do that breakdown in the middle? And
everybody had their solo.
Everybody had their solo.
It was "Shake Your Love" or "Only in My Dreams," I think, and because I get those mixed up.
Me too. It's
"Shake Your Love," and she exits the stage.
She exits the stage because she's gonna. There's underneath the stage. There's a dressing room down there, and then there's sort of like a little lit walkway that goes out to the piano where she's gonna come up out of the ground on this hydraulic lift when we're done. So anyway, she exits the stage, and the song's going. Drums play their little 8-bar solo. Percussion does their 8-bar solo. I come in and do the bass, bum 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 bum, whatever the heck it was, and then the guitar comes in. First keyboard player, second keyboard player, then the dancers come in. They do their flips and everything. Anyway, the musical director Gary Corbett says to everybody before we go on stage, "Guys, I have a great idea. Let's just try this, and it's going to go great if everybody just does it. When we get to that part, Kirk, you do it in B minor, and each person that adds, we're going to go up a half step." We're like, "That's a great idea." You should have asked.
It seemed like it was.
To us, we thought this is a great idea. We've been playing it the same way for 60 shows so far. Let's add some spice. So we get in there, and it's like, dun, 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 I'm done. Tommy does his thing, so we all move up a half step. Dun, 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 dun. First keyboard player is like, dun, 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 dun. Second keyboard player. The dancers, I don't think they realized what was going on. And we're hanging out there, just keep on going while the dancers doing the thing. Then we were going to end it like, boom. We nailed it. The way Gary Corbett said, we were like, "Man, this is freaking great. I can't believe we just did that." So then Debbie comes out, like, on the hydraulic lift or whatever song was next. she had a look on her face, and it was okay. She was cool, until we got off stage. She didn't yell at all, and I didn't see her as mad, but she was like, "Guys, I don't want you to ever do that again." And then I realized, it's like, man, she's probably down there, like, changing clothes.
One leg in a pant,
And she's like, what the hell are those guys doing up there? And then it changes key again. Now she has perfect pitch. I mean, she doesn't hear just like, she could hear half tones, just not little semitones.
Yeah.
We're like, she's going, what the hell are they doing up there? I come and get up there, I'm going to kick her over her asses. No, I don't think she said that.
Yeah. It's like, my name's on the billboard. I got one leg in a short or pant leg, and these guys are up, above me.
Doing?
Yeah.
It's like, what are they doing? So it's like, yeah, okay, guys, let's not. We thought it was a good idea. It wasn't such a good idea.
No.
It was.
No, that's okay.
No, it was funny. I was just laughing at myself about it.
No, there was, seeing that we're kind of maybe a little bit past that, but right in that area, there was personnel changes from the first to second tour.
Yeah.
What are you able to comment on that?